Are you ready for what could be the most devastating winter storm in a decade? Because right now, a historic ice and snow event is barreling toward 30 major states, and the window to prepare is closing fast. In the next 4,000 words, I am going to show you exactly where this monster storm is heading, which cities will be buried under a foot of snow, and most importantly, which communities are about to face a catastrophic ice storm that could leave hundreds of thousands without power for over a week. Here's what you need to know in the first 30 seconds. This storm is tracking across a path from Texas all the way to Maine. Over 70 million Americans are in the direct path. Some areas will see ice accumulation exceeding 1 inch, thick enough to snap power lines like toothpicks and bring down trees across entire neighborhoods. Comment below with your city and state right now, and I'll give you a personalized forecast for your exact location. Don't wait, because this information could literally save your life. But before we dive deeper, let me tell you something shocking. The European weather model, which has been the most accurate predictor for this storm, just updated its forecast 30 minutes ago. And what it is showing is worse than what we thought yesterday. The ice storm zone has expanded, the snow totals have increased, and the power outage predictions are now in the hundreds of thousands, possibly over 1 million people. So here's the question that should be burning in your mind right now. Is your home in the danger zone? Because in just 60 seconds, I am going to reveal the 2 catastrophic ice storm hotspots where emergency officials are already preparing for the worst disaster response operation in years. Let's start with the timeline. It's Thursday, January 22nd, 2026. The storm begins hitting the southern plains on Saturday morning, January 24th at 1 a.m. By Saturday evening, the first wave of heavy snow races through St. Louis into Kentucky, Indiana, and Ohio. But here's where it gets really dangerous. Just south of that snow band, a devastating ice storm begins forming across West Tennessee, northern Mississippi, southern Arkansas, northeast Texas, and northern Louisiana. Why is this ice storm going to be so catastrophic? It's not just about the intensity, it is about the duration. These areas could experience 12 hours or more of continuous freezing rain. Think about that. 12 straight hours of ice building up on power lines, on tree branches, on roads. Every hour that passes, another quarter inch of ice accumulates. After 6 hours, you are looking at ice so thick and heavy that even the strongest tree branches start snapping. After 12 hours, entire power grids can collapse. Now you might be wondering, where exactly are these 2 catastrophic hotspots I mentioned? Here's the first one, and this is critical. Northern Louisiana, southern portions of Arkansas, northern Mississippi, western Tennessee, maybe even reaching into southern middle portions of Tennessee. This entire region is staring down the barrel of what forecasters are calling a historic ice storm of catastrophic proportions. The national blend of models, which is typically a conservative forecast, is showing ice accumulation close to 1 inch near the Mississippi River. 3/4 of an inch of ice is possible around Tupelo, over 1/2 inch of ice all the way up near Nashville. To put this in perspective, just 1/4 inch of ice is enough to make roads impassable. 1/2 inch can bring down power lines. 3/4 of an inch to 1 inch, that's when you see widespread, long-duration power outages lasting days or even weeks. But there's a second hotspot, and this one is going to surprise some people. It lights up like a Christmas tree on the forecast models around 10 a.m. on Sunday. Northeast Georgia, northwest South Carolina, the entire state of North Carolina, and a lot of Virginia on the southeast side of the Appalachian Mountains. This region has what meteorologists call significant cold air damming, which creates perfect conditions for a prolific ice storm. Here's what makes this second zone so dangerous. More than 1/2 inch of ice is possible in a short period of time. These are hilly, forested areas. When ice builds up on trees on hillsides, those trees come crashing down. They hit power lines, they block roads, they can even damage homes. Emergency crews won't be able to reach everyone quickly because the roads will be impassable. Right now, if you are in either of these 2 zones, you need to finalize your preparations today, not tomorrow. Today. It's almost too late. There will be lots of people in these zones who lose power for more than a week. That means no heat in the middle of winter, no way to cook food, no way to charge phones, no internet. If you have a generator, test it today. Make sure you have enough fuel. Stock up on batteries, flashlights, non-perishable food, and water. Fill your bathtubs with water before the storm hits so you can flush toilets. Comment below with your location right now, and I'll tell you if you are in one of these danger zones. This is urgent. Now let's talk about the snow, because while ice is the most dangerous aspect of this storm, the snow is going to be absolutely massive in some locations. And here's a twist that's going to shock you. Some cities that were forecast to get 2 feet of snow just 3 days ago are now looking at mostly ice instead. The model shifted. That warm nose of air pushed farther north than expected, and it changed everything. But don't worry, there's still going to be plenty of snow. In fact, some areas are going to see the biggest snowstorm in a decade. Let me walk you through this region by region, and at the end, I am going to reveal which major northeastern city is most likely to get buried under 18 inches of snow. Stay with me, because that revelation is coming at minute 5, and you're going to want to hear it. Starting in the Texas and Oklahoma panhandles, we are looking at 7 to 9 inches of snow between Amarillo and Oklahoma City. But here's the kicker. There's going to be a band of higher snow totals that drops somewhere in that general zone, and a couple of places could see more than a foot. The exact location of that band is still uncertain, which is why the forecast models aren't pinpointing it yet. But it is coming. Wichita, Kansas is a shoo-in for at least 8 inches of snow. Kansas City might even get in on a decent amount with this storm. 3 to 6 inches of snow is a good call for Kansas City. The same could be said for St. Louis. But if the storm tracks a little bit farther north, 8 inches is definitely on the table for St. Louis. Jackson, Missouri, that is a shoo-in for 10 inches. Springfield, Missouri might even get close to 10 inches of snow. But notice the very sharp cutoff on the south side. This is where the ice starts cutting into snow totals along with sleet. It's possible that Little Rock only gets 2 to 4 inches of snow, but also maybe 2 to 4 inches of sleet, and then maybe also a 1/4 inch of ice on top of that. That's going to be a mess. That's actually a worse situation for Little Rock residents than a foot of snow would be, because it's going to be harder to deal with. The same could be said for Memphis and maybe even Nashville. The forecast is still showing 4 inches of snow possible in Nashville, but there's going to be a really tight cutoff where that rain, freezing rain, and sleet are going to cut down on totals. It is very possible that Nashville gets an inch or two, while Clarksville, Tennessee, just 40 miles north, gets 3 to 6 inches. That's how close of a cutoff we're dealing with. Here's why this matters. If this line shifts just 20 miles, it changes the forecast big time for a lot of people. That's hundreds of thousands of residents who could either be dealing with manageable snow or catastrophic ice, all depending on where that line sets up. This is the kind of detail that keeps meteorologists up at night. Lexington, Kentucky still looks like close to a foot of snow. Cincinnati totals are up a little bit, close to a foot as well. Columbus, 10 inches, Dayton, 10 inches, Indianapolis, 6 to 9 inches is going to be possible. These are significant snow totals that will shut down roads, close schools, and make travel extremely dangerous for days. Now remember, I promised you at the 30-second mark that I'd deliver something big. Here's your reward. I am about to reveal the exact forecast for 30 major states, city by city, so you know exactly what's coming your way. But first, let me ask you this. Have you ever wondered why some winter storms are so hard to predict, especially in certain parts of the country? Here's a fascinating twist. There's one region in America that is harder to forecast than anywhere else on Earth. Can you guess where it is? I'll reveal the answer in just a moment, and when you hear it, it's going to make perfect sense. But it's also going to explain why millions of people in this area might not know until the very last minute whether they're getting a foot of snow or just cold rain. That region is the corridor from Washington, D.C., up through Philadelphia, New York City, and Boston. This is the absolute hardest place on Earth to forecast winter weather. Why? Because it's where everything comes together at once. Atlantic Ocean moisture, Great Lakes effects, high pressure systems diving down from Canada, Gulf moisture streaming up from the south. The Appalachian Mountains creating barriers and channels for air masses. All of these factors collide right in this region and make it incredibly complex. If you live in this area and you feel like the weatherman is always wrong, you're actually more right about that than people in any other part of the country. It's not that meteorologists aren't trying. It's not that the supercomputers aren't powerful enough. It's that this region has so many competing variables that even the best models struggle to nail down the details until the storm is practically on top of you. But here's the good news. Right now, it does look like a significant winter storm with mostly snow is on the way for the Northeast. And if this pattern holds, if we actually get 15 to 18 inches between Washington, D.C. and Boston, this is going to be the biggest snowstorm for a lot of people in like a decade. So let me give you the city-by-city breakdown right now. This is the information you've been waiting for. Comment below with your city after you hear this, and I'll confirm your specific forecast, starting with Texas. Dallas starts off as cold rain Saturday morning, but that will quickly transition into freezing rain. Northern Texas could see significant ice accumulation. Oklahoma City, 7 to 9 inches of snow with some areas seeing over a foot. Tulsa, similar totals with the possibility of mixing. Arkansas, Little Rock, 2 to 4 inches of snow plus 2 to 4 inches of sleet plus ice. Northwest Arkansas around Bentonville could see closer to 8 to 10 inches of snow before mixing in. Fort Smith, similar situation to Little Rock. Southern Arkansas, this is your danger zone for catastrophic ice. Louisiana. Northern Louisiana is ground zero for the ice storm. Shreveport, Monroe, these areas could see over half an inch of ice, possibly approaching 1 inch. New Orleans stays mostly rain, but northern parishes will see ice. Mississippi. Northern Mississippi, particularly around Tupelo, you're looking at 3/4 of an inch of ice possible. Jackson could see a mix of snow, sleet, and ice. Southern Mississippi stays mostly rain. Tennessee. Memphis, 4 inches of snow possible, but could easily be cut down by sleet and ice mixing. Nashville, this is on that razor-sharp cutoff line. South side of the city might get 1 inch, north side could get 3 to 4 inches, Clarksville 5 inches possible. Chattanooga and eastern Tennessee were forecast for 2 feet just days ago, but that warm nose moved in and changed everything. You'll see more rain and ice than snow. West Tennessee, this is another catastrophic ice zone. Knoxville might dodge the worst of it, but still see some ice. Kentucky, Louisville, close to a foot of snow. Lexington, close to a foot. Bowling Green, 7 to 10 inches. Pikeville and eastern Kentucky, this is on the cutoff line with 5 to 7 inches possible, but sleet could mix in. Missouri, Kansas City, 3 to 6 inches. St. Louis, 3 to 6 inches with potential for 8 if the track goes north. Springfield, close to 10 inches. Jackson, 10 inches. Cape Girardeau, similar to St. Louis, Kansas. Wichita, at least 8 inches. Topeka, 6 to 8 inches. Illinois, Chicago might see some light snow on the northern fringe, but this storm mostly stays south. Southern Illinois could see 4 to 6 inches. Indianapolis, 6 to 9 inches. Evansville on that mixing line. Fort Wayne, 4 to 6 inches. Ohio, Cincinnati, close to a foot. Columbus, 10 inches. Dayton, 10 inches. Cleveland might catch the northern edge with 4 to 6 inches. West Virginia, this state gets hammered. Charleston, 8 to 10 inches, but mixing possible. Morgantown, 10 to 12 inches, Virginia. Southwest Virginia catches snow, 8 to 12 inches possible. Richmond, up to 9 inches, but getting closer to that warm line. Northern Virginia, depending on exact track, could see less due to mixing. But the southeast side of the state, near the Appalachian Mountains, is the second catastrophic ice zone. Significant ice accumulation expected, North Carolina. This is going to be bad for ice. The entire state is looking at significant icing, especially in the mountains in Piedmont. Charlotte, Raleigh, Greensboro, all at risk for major ice. Asheville in the mountains could see some snow before ice moves in. This ice storm could be historic. South Carolina, Northwest South Carolina, same situation as North Carolina. Major ice storm expected. Columbia might see some ice, but less than areas farther north. Georgia, Northeast Georgia, another hot spot for the ice storm. Atlanta proper might dodge the worst, but northern suburbs could see significant ice. Athens, significant ice possible. Maryland. Baltimore, this is the tricky forecast zone. Could see 8 to 12 inches of snow, but mixing is possible. Frederick and Hagerstown over a foot of snow. You are shoo-ins, Delaware. Wilmington in that mixing zone could go either way between snow and rain, Pennsylvania. Philadelphia, mixing possible, which complicates the forecast. Harrisburg over a foot. Allentown over a foot. Scranton over a foot. Pittsburgh 8 to 10 inches. State College 10 to 12 inches. This state does well with this storm if you want snow. New Jersey, this is another mixing zone. Northern New Jersey could see significant snow if it stays cold. Southern New Jersey more likely to mix. But if you end up on the cold side, this could be the biggest snowstorm in a decade. Some areas could see 8 to 12 inches. New York. New York City, this is the ultimate question mark. Mixing is likely, which means totals could range from 2 inches to 10 inches depending on exact temperature profiles. But here's what I think. I think the city sees 6 to 8 inches with higher amounts north and west. Albany, over a foot. Syracuse, 8 to 10 inches. Buffalo on the northern fringe. Rochester, 6 to 8 inches. Westchester County and areas just north of the city, 10 to 12 inches possible. Connecticut. Hartford, 10 to 12 inches. New Haven in the mixing zone, similar to New York City. Bridgeport, 6 to 8 inches. Rhode Island, Providence, 8 to 10 inches. Massachusetts, Boston, and this is the big reveal I promised you at minute 5. Boston is looking at 10 to 15 inches, possibly more. Plymouth, similar totals. Worcester, 12 to 15 inches. Springfield, over a foot. If this forecast holds, Boston could see the biggest snowstorm in over a decade. This would be a top 10 snowstorm for the city. Vermont, Burlington, over a foot. This state gets crushed with snow. New Hampshire, Manchester, Concord, Nashua, all looking at over a foot. Portsmouth near the coast might see slightly less but still significant. Maine, Portland, 10 to 12 inches. Bangor, 8 to 10 inches. This is a big snow for Maine. Now here is something most people don't realize, and this is going to blow your mind. Some of the latest model data that just came in is showing a slight shift back to the south. We had a big northward shift over the past 2 days, and now we are seeing a correction back south. What does that mean? It means some areas that were taken out of the snow forecast might be getting back in, but it also means some areas that were feeling safe might be sliding into the danger zone. This is why forecasting winter storms 4 to 5 days out is so challenging. The atmosphere is constantly adjusting. Every 6 hours, new data comes in. Every 12 hours, the models update. And sometimes those updates bring big changes. That's why you need to keep checking back for updates. That's why you need to follow reliable sources. And that's why you absolutely need to comment below with your location so I can keep you updated. Here's what you need to understand about the Northeast forecast specifically. If you end up on the cold side of this storm, you are looking at historic snowfall. If the warm air wins, you might see more mixing and lower totals. The difference between 10 inches and 3 inches could come down to just a few degrees of temperature. That's how tight this forecast is. But let me tell you something that should concern everyone watching this, regardless of whether you're in the snow zone or the ice zone. This storm is going to cause massive power outages. The ice zones will obviously be hit hardest, but even the heavy snow zones will see issues. When you get a foot of wet, heavy snow, that weighs down power lines. Add some wind, which we will have, and you've got outages in the snow areas too. So here is your action plan, and I need you to take this seriously. If you are in any of the areas I mentioned, you have about 24 to 36 hours left to prepare. After that, the storm will be here, and it will be too late. First, charge every device you own. Phones, tablets, laptops, power banks, everything. Charge them fully and keep them charged. Second, fill up your gas tank. If the power goes out, gas stations can T-pump gas. Get fuel now while you can. If you have a generator, make sure you have enough fuel to run it for at least 3 days, preferably a week. Third, stock up on food that doesn't require cooking. Bread, peanut butter, canned goods, protein bars, whatever you can eat without power. Don't forget water. A gallon per person per day, minimum 3-day supply. Fourth, get your medications. If you take prescription medications, make sure you have enough. Pharmacies might be closed for days. Fifth, prepare your home. Bring in anything from outside that could blow around. Move vehicles under cover if possible, or at least away from trees. Know where your flashlights and batteries are. Consider filling your bathtub with water before the storm hits. Sixth, make a communication plan with family and friends. Decide how you'll check in with each other if power and cell service go down. Identify the safest place in your home to ride out the storm. Seventh, if you have a fireplace or wood stove, stock up on wood now. If you have space heaters, make sure they're working. Never use outdoor equipment like grills or generators indoors. The carbon monoxide can kill you. Now let me address something important. Some of you watching this might be thinking, is this really going to be that bad? Haven't we heard this before? And that's a fair question. Weather forecasters have been accused of hype before, but let me show you why this storm is different. The National Weather Service doesn't issue winter storm warnings lightly. Right now, winter storm watches and warnings extend from Texas to Maine. That's over 1,500 miles. Over 70 million people are in the path. The national blend of models, which is typically conservative, is showing ice accumulations that would be considered extreme by any measure. Multiple forecast models are in agreement, which gives us high confidence. And here's the kicker. Insurance companies and utility companies are already pre-positioning crews and resources for major disaster response. That doesn't happen for your average winter storm. When insurance companies start moving assets, they've done the math. They know this is going to be expensive. They know claims are coming. So no, this is not hype. This is real. And the time to act is now. Let me give you one more critical piece of information. The storm doesn't end Monday. Even after the snow and ice stop falling Monday night, the impacts will continue for days or even weeks. Roads will be impassable. Power could be out for a week or more in the hardest hit areas. Schools will be closed. Businesses will be shut down. Emergency services will be stretched to their limits. If you elderly or have health conditions, consider staying with family or friends who are in a safer area or who have better resources to handle an outage. Don't try to tough it out alone if you have other options. Your safety is more important than your independence for a few days. If you have neighbors who might need help, check on them now. Make sure they know the storm is coming. Offer to help them prepare. After the storm hits, if it is safe to do so, check on them again. This is when communities come together. Now, I promised I'd tell you what to expect for specific states, and I've delivered on that. But here's what I haven't told you yet, and this is critical. The forecast is going to continue to change over the next 24 hours. Not dramatically, hopefully, but there will be adjustments. That southern shift I mentioned, that could continue, or it could shift back north again. The exact placement of the snow-ice line could move 20 or 30 miles in either direction. That's why you need to keep checking for updates. That is why you need to comment below with your location right now so I can keep you in the loop. Don't assume that the forecast you heard 12 hours ago is still accurate. Check multiple times per day. Follow the National Weather Service for your area. They will have the most localized, most up-to-date information. Here is my commitment to you. Over the next 5 days, I am dedicating everything to covering this storm. More videos are coming. Live coverage is coming. Question and answer sessions are coming. This is all hands on deck. I want you to have the information you need to stay safe and to protect your family. And here's the thing that people don't always realize about weather forecasting. We not just reading off computer models, we reinterpreting data, comparing different scenarios, using experience and expertise to make judgment calls. Sometimes the models are wrong. Sometimes they rewrite. Our job is to take all of that information and give you the most likely scenario while being honest about the uncertainty. So when I tell you that Boston could see 15 inches of snow, I am not making that up. That's based on multiple forecast models showing similar outcomes. When I tell you that northern Louisiana could see 1 inch of ice, that's not an exaggeration. That's what the data is showing. But could it end up being less? Yes. Could it end up being more? Also yes. That's the nature of forecasting. What I can tell you with absolute certainty is this: a major winter storm is coming. Millions of people will be impacted. There will be dangerous travel conditions. There will be power outages. There will be disruptions to daily life. The exact details might shift, but the overall picture is clear. So here's what I need you to do right now. First, comment below with your city and state. I will personally respond with your specific forecast. Second, share this information with everyone you know who might be in the path of this storm. Your family, your friends, your coworkers, your neighbors. Third, take action today. Don't wait until tomorrow. Prepare now while you still have time. And here's the final twist I want to leave you with, because this is going to keep you thinking and coming back for more information. After this storm moves through and we all digging out and dealing with the aftermath, there's another weather pattern setting up for late next week that could bring even more winter weather to some of the same areas. I am not ready to talk about that in detail yet because we need to get through this storm first. But I am seeing signals in the long-range models that suggest winter is far from done. So stay tuned, keep checking back, keep commenting with your location, keep preparing, And remember, the biggest mistake you can make with a storm like this is assuming it won to be that bad. Hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. That is not being dramatic. That is being smart. Your safety is the priority. Your family's safety is the priority. Everything else is just details. So take this seriously, take action today, and let us get through this together. Comment below right now with where you were watching from, and I'll get you the information you need. This is not the time to